Thanks for tuning in to Howe's Things, a podcast and radio show from the David A. Howe Public Library, recorded right here in Wellsville, New York. I'm Nick Gunning, and today I'm joined by my old pal, Kate Miller. Kate, welcome back.
Old pals,
That's right.
huh?
How long has it been now?
It's been like 5 years.
I know.
Very nearly,
That's legit. You know, the last time we were recording a podcast together, it was remote because my brain was addled with COVID.
I'm glad it's not anymore.
Now,
though.
yeah, and
Thank
it
goodness.
lingered. It did linger, but I'm fully back to normal. Have you read any more Moon Girl or Devil Dinosaur since we last spoke? I haven't either, actually.
I have such a long to be read list.
Yeah.
That like it keeps getting bumped down.
For Christmas, my wife got me the original like 70s Jack Kirby Devil Dinosaur collection because I've never had it. I read it on the app, but I don't have it like physically.
Right.
And my son and I do this book club thing where like we'll pick a book and read it together. And so I was like, maybe he could read Devil Dinosaur.
Sure. How did he like it?
He did. Yeah, it was.
I don't doubt it. He's kind of a dinosaur guy, though, right?
Yes. Not as much as Eric, our old teen librarian Eric. But he was into it. His complaint was that it was too. He thought it was going to be like one long story, and the original is very like. Issue. It's like episodic.
Sure.
But no, he did like it.
Well, that's
he did
good
like
then.
It. So it was kind of fun to revisit the world of Devil Dinosaur. Today, we're going to be talking about the Youth Media Awards. And this is kind of funny because if you've listened to the podcast before, you know that historically, Kate, you've been a bit of a curmudgeon about being on the podcast. But
I want to disagree, but you're not wrong.
Last year, January came and went, and we didn't do an episode about this.
We didn't, did we?
And when you were on for Women's
pandemic.
History Month for March, before we started recording, you were like, hey, what the heck? Why didn't we do the Youth Media Awards? So I guess maybe I found one that you actually want to do.
This is one that I guess I'm like, yes, we can do this.
Yeah.
So many other things I'm like, I don't know. But
all right.
Youth Media Awards, sure. We can do this.
Spoiler alert, I find this list of awards to be a bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
A little uneven.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
So, I don't know.
There will be some discussion.
I don't know. We'll get into it, but first let's get into our books, see where our bookmarks are at. Kate, what have you been reading?
A little bit too much. I tend
Really?
to bite off more than I can actually chew at the beginning of
Okay.
the year, it seems like.
Yeah.
I got to my goal last year. I wanted to read 46 books. I actually ended up reading 48.
Wait, you wanted to read 46 specifically?
Yes.
That's such an unusual number.
I've been bumping it up gradually.
Like by a book?
By a book or two, depending on
okay.
how close I get to my goal.
Okay.
So I think probably the year before was 45, and I just got there.
You
So
just
this year,
okay.
I got to 50 or 48. And so this year, my goal is 50.
Okay.
So I'm like, yes, I'm going to read all the books. And I've been a little slower than I wanted to. I've been reading Little Women
Ooh.
for like 2 years.
Fair enough. We did that for a book club a few years back, and I did not enjoy it.
My mother is like, it's one of my favorite books. I sat down and read it in just a couple of days, and I was like, really? So I'm working my way through it for the love of my mother. The Mysterious Benedict Society, I think when I was on for the Dragon and Moon Girl and
Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur.
Devil
it was
Dinosaur,
picture book month when we really got into
so
that.
it was like
November. Yeah.
The kids and I are still reading that.
Oh.
It's really good.
Okay.
We're just really slow.
Okay. My son and I were reading a David Williams book then that you and I were talking about. I can't remember what it was called. It was about a woolly mammoth, the ice monster.
Okay.
And we were talking about how it's very influenced by a Roald Dahl type vibe. And so we finished that one, and he picked another one from the back of the book, another one by this author, and it's called Gangsta Granny. And it's about a kid who gets stuck with his grandma every weekend and hates going there, and she's so boring. And then he discovers that, like, in her youth, she was this renowned jewel thief.
Oh, my gosh.
And so suddenly he's very interested, and they hatch a plan to steal the crown jewels. So
that sounds awesome.
That's my parent reading of the moment is Gangsta Granny, and it's fun. It's a fun book, but really like
that's kind of out of left field.
It is, but as a Roald Dahl fan, I think I was a little on the fence. Like, will you just find this annoying because it's trying to be Roald Dahl, or will you kind of like vibe with it? I kind of think you'd like it.
Oh my gosh, I think I would too. That one I might have to look that up.
Yeah. Anyway, what else you got on the list?
Margaret Rogerson is a young adult fantasy author.
Okay.
I've read. She just released her third novel, Vespertine.
Okay.
And I got that for Christmas, and I desperately want to read it.
Uh-huh.
And I started a chapter, and then I had to put it down to read other things.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm reading Lore Olympus.
I love Lore Olympus.
I love Lore Olympus. I did not know
Yeah.
anything about the webtoons or
Yeah.
whatever it is, but I think this was mentioned
Yeah.
in the Youth Media Awards.
Yes, it was in honor or something. I think maybe it was in honor
of
for
one of them.
Prince, I think.
It might have been.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I saw that on the shelf, so I grabbed it.
Yep.
I'm already like halfway through.
Yeah.
It's only been a couple of days. They're
Yeah.
so much fun.
It's super good. And, I think it was in the running for a Goodreads Choice Award for graphic novel. That's when I
that
first
could
saw
be.
it. But Allie, our youth librarian,
Yes.
is big into like the webtoon world, which I know nothing about.
Me neither.
And so Lore Olympus was kind of me dipping my toe in there, and I really loved it. And she'd been a fan of it back when it was just like digital only,
Yes.
so she's more hip than you or I.
Yeah, well,
But-
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, but no, I liked it. I passed it on to my wife, and she's really digging it. And so
they're so much fun.
we'll talk about it later, but the second volume in print is supposed to come out a little later this year. So.
Good. That'll be good.
Well, I'm glad
'cause
you're liking it.
I don't know if I'm hip enough to stay up with the webtoons.
Uh-huh.
Ellie's like, yeah, they come out every week. I'm like, oh.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Crickets. Whoops. Okay. And I'm reading the February book club book, A Deadly Inside Scoop. I'm only a few
Yes.
chapters into it. It is so sugary
It
sweet
is.
though.
It is. Yeah.
And it's fun though. It's light and fluffy
Yes,
so far.
I feel like I should warn you. This was I finished that book, Deadly
Okay.
Inside Scoop, Abby Collette. And we're doing this the third Tuesday of every month, 10:30 with coffees and snacks and stuff, and we're reading a cozy mystery. This is the pick of the month. My hot take on this one was that I kind of would have preferred the murder to not be a part of it. Like I was more
Really?
interested in just like, yeah, let's rehab this like dated ice cream shop that
You
your
know,
family used to run.
and I haven't gotten to the murder part of it.
And you
I'm
won't
like,
for a while.
oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm just waiting for that shoe to drop,
Yeah.
knowing that it's a murder mystery.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, this is cute. It sounds beautiful.
Yes.
I'd love to see, this play out. But I'm like, and where's the murder?
Yes.
And again, I'm only like 3-4 chapters in.
Uh-huh.
So I was just kind of waiting, but I'm going to have to keep waiting. Huh?
Yes, you will. It takes a while for the murder to come in, and then it's really backburnered for another big stretch.
Really?
And so by the time you finally get down to it, they're really investigating it. I was kind of like over it by that point, but that's just
Well, like she's just getting to the shop on her first day of opening
Yeah.
it, and there was like a man standing outside. I'm like, is the dead body in the shop?
Yeah.
Like what's gonna happen? And I'm like, oh no, just a lost puppy.
yeah.
Okay.
It's marketed as a cozy mystery, but I would kind of say maybe that's not really what it is.
Not
but
the strong point of
we'll
it. Lisa.
decide at the
Yeah.
book club.
We'll
see.
We'll,
We'll see.
We'll get there.
Before we move on from graphic novels, you were reading the Beast Boy graphic novels,
I
weren't you?
did. I read Raven a while ago. I might have even had an art copy of it.
I liked Raven quite
and
a bit.
I really liked
Yeah.
Raven. And then I saw Beast Boy Loves Raven.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. I picked that one up, not realizing it was the third in the
Yeah,
series.
yeah.
So I finished it and went back and read Beast Boy. Beast Boy was a little underwhelming for me.
I felt the same way. I haven't actually gotten to Beast Boy Loves Raven.
But as a package, it was cute.
Yeah.
Like I liked it overall.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the Beast Boy Raven one, but I didn't. I had the same reaction. I was kind of like, meh, whatever.
And I figured that was probably because I read it out of order, but maybe not.
I
then.
don't think so.
It was just a
I think
little
it's
like,
just
oh,
not as not as
okay.
good a story.
Not as
So,
invested in it.
yeah.
All right. Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, so I finished those 3. So
Okay.
they were fun.
I finished a few. I read one called Tide Pool by Nicole Wilson. I don't remember how this got on my radar. I feel like it was an episode when Allie was on and we were talking about upcoming books, and this one popped up. And it's I don't know if I would say fantasy. I guess it is fantasy.
The cover looks fantasy.
Yeah, and it's about this small town that has this dark secret, and like bodies start sort of washing up on the shore, and these people are there from out of town looking to potentially turn it into a vacation spot.
Then again,
And the
maybe not.
town doesn't want that, and you kind of find out why. So it goes in directions that I was not expecting, and I think pretty well sticks the landing. It's the kind of book where it's like you start you have a shift and you're like, oh, that's what this book is about. And then you get to a point where it's like, oh, this could really take a nosedive. But I feel like it did work.
Interesting.
And it took some big swings and I think pulled it off. So
now, is it a standalone or will it continue into a series? Do you know?
I think it's pretty well wrapped up at the end.
Those are kind of nice, especially when they take those big swings and it lands and it's just like, okay, be done.
Yes.
This is a good package.
I think it would be possible to maybe write something that's set in the same world, but like Tide Pool 2, I think would be very difficult to pull off. So,
well, that's cool.
I read that. We name dropped Eric earlier, but he and I have been reading a title called Immortal Hulk together. It's a 50-issue run of the Incredible Hulk, and it's specifically dealing with like, is the Hulk immortal? And it started really cool and sort of like a little philosophical about like life and death and everything. It's gotten to full out gross out body horror.
Oh no.
So he's hanging in there a little bit more than I am. But this last issue, I was just like, ugh, ugh. So we'll see. We're about halfway through. Immortal Hulk. And then Deadly Inside Scoop, of course, which I mentioned.
Yes.
Also currently reading Gangsta Granny, which we do have in our collection. So if the title intrigues you, we've got it right here.
You'll have to wait till I read it, though.
Yes. Yep, I will. Normally I used to have a much longer commute, and so I would just like burn through audiobooks, not having
so
that
anymore.
same thing. So I've been listening to this same audiobook for a long time, and it's Carnival of Snackery by David Sedaris. It's volume 2 of his collected diaries. I don't think it would work as a traditional book. We have the print book, but it's audio or nothing for me at David Sedaris. So I am really liking it. The first diary collection was a little bit more, it just is diaries. So often it'll just sort of be like, okay, here's a little thing that happened, moving on.
Okay.
Not very cohesive, and so hard to read in a big setting. This one I feel like is a little bit more fleshed out, and I'm just liking it more.
Well, that's cool then.
So liking that. And then I'm also reading one called A New Dawn by Joshua Jackson Miller. It's a Star Wars book. It's actually the first when Disney bought Star Wars and they were like, all right, forget all the old stuff. We're going to have our own Disney canon of Star Wars.
That's what Disney does.
This was the book that kind of launched that. And I've never read it, but it deals with the characters from Star Wars Rebels, which I like quite a bit. Okay. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm probably halfway through. So
I like that your bookmark here has Gangsta Granny.
Gangsta Granny, yeah.
And A Carnival of Snackery. The two titles just sound like so much fun.
So whimsical, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
I'm just like, it makes me happy.
They're good titles. They're good titles. Have you been watching anything good? I know this is always like a trap that I lay for you, and I don't mean to, but I'm curious.
But it has gotten so much better since I started working here and doing the podcast, because then I was like, I don't know, I don't watch anything.
True. Well, your kids are older now, and that gives you a lot more freedom.
And now we can all watch a little bit more together.
Yeah.
This past, Martin Luther King Day weekend, it was kind of nasty out because we got all that snow.
Yeah.
And so we went out and played in the snow, which was nice. But that weekend we watched 3 fairly new movies.
Really?
Yes. We watched Eternals.
Oh, I saw Eternals.
Yes, and we watched Hotel Transylvania 4.
I've weirdly seen 1 and 3, and that's it.
Really?
I don't know why. No.
Ace really likes them. Scott and I are kind of like, we could really live without this.
Yeah.
But Ace really likes them. So, it was new. It was free.
Yeah.
So we did it. And we watched... I feel like we watched one more, but we've watched Encanto a couple of times. Have you seen Encanto?
I did. Yeah, we saw it in theaters, actually.
We don't talk about Bruno. So, oh my gosh. Is Westy obsessed?
No, he enjoyed it quite a bit, and he has liked the soundtrack.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Ace gets control over the remote for a little bit after school.
Oh,
because Lily's got her phone.
We've got some set times.
Yeah, and he likes to get on YouTube, and I can't tell you how many times he's listened to We Don't Talk About Bruno and Surface Pressure just on repeat.
Over and over. Yeah.
Finally got to a point where Scott was like, "Give me the remote," and Ace is like, "Why?" And Scott turns the movie on again. He goes, if you're going to listen to it this much, we're just going to watch it again.
Yeah.
I was just as happy as could be, though. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I sort of feel like that soundtrack almost works better just as a listening thing.
It does.
Because that was one of my critiques about the movie, I felt like. That it was like, oh, okay, let's stop the movie and do a song.
Yes.
And then we'll continue the movie.
And that was my thing, because when we first watched it, I was like, oh. I didn't love it at first.
Yeah.
And then Ace listened to the songs a million times, and I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I really like the songs. And then we went back and watched it all together again, and I was like, okay, it really is a solid movie.
Yeah.
But same thing, like I think about Beauty and the Beast or
Yeah.
Aladdin or some of the older Disney films where it's like the songs were just seamlessly woven into the story.
You couldn't cut the songs out. You wouldn't know what was going on.
It was exactly what needed to happen there and then.
Yeah.
Whereas now I feel like the songs in the movie, completely different things.
Right.
Which is okay, I guess, but it's harder for me to swallow.
I agree.
All in one sitting.
I agree. I'm gonna issue a spoiler alert warning for Encanto because there's one thing that I want to talk about.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen Encanto, I'm gonna talk about something that happens in the end. So just do what you need to do.
Mute us for a minute here.
Spoilers!
I think it's really lame that it ends with them just having the magic again. Do you know what I mean? It's like that
Yes.
was the whole thing that was kind of holding them together, but it was also like tearing them apart and causing all this
Right.
friction. And then it's like, we're going to find a new path forward, and the whole town comes together and builds this town. But then they just have the magic again? I don't really get the arc of that.
I felt like it was all Mirabelle. Mirabelle needed to
Okay.
be the glue
Yes.
to keep them together,
Right.
which then when she gets the doorknob, that when she puts it into the door and the magic comes
Right.
back, I felt like it was
Okay.
her
Like her contribution.
lack of power
Yes.
that brought them back together to be like, you don't need your power to be special, to be
Yes.
loved. And that kind of, was
Right.
more that character. But I can see
Yes.
I can see
okay.
what you're saying.
I
too,
will
though.
accept. I will
It
accept
was a
that
little
response.
like, oh poof, there's
Yeah.
magic again.
Yeah, but it was sort of like, so then what do we really learn if the end goal is to
Right.
just have the thing we had before? But
that was one
you know.
song. The end, like, it's not as impressive of a song as some of the others that are popular, but the one at the end where, we're all stars and we don't shine, we burn,
Yeah.
etc. But, going through, like, you don't have to be special to be loved. You don't have to always carry the burden
True.
to. And I felt like that was kind of one song that I was like, oh, that does tie into the story a little bit better.
Yeah.
So that was kind of where I was like, oh, okay, this is their point that they've been getting to.
I can't remember if we've talked about this or not, but speaking of Lin-Manuel Miranda written music
Right.
animated shows, did you guys watch Vivo, the movie Vivo?
We started it, but it was on a day when the weather was actually decent.
Too good.
And the kids were like, we just want to go outside and play. I was
It's
like, oh, dang.
it's a much simpler movie. I was originally intended to be theatrical, and then the world, and so it's like
Oh.
Netflix. I think it's just on Netflix.
Yes.
And it's just much more. They're traveling, trying to get this like forgotten song to this singer.
Oh, okay.
It's a real simple plot. But for whatever reason, like my wife and son and I, we all watched it together, and he loved it.
Really?
And we laughed pretty hard, like throughout. It was just a very pleasant kind of thing. It doesn't have. I don't know if there's really a standout song in it, but the music is like fun. It's just a
Okay.
little bit more. I don't know if that's a soundtrack you'd just listen to.
Right. But to go along with the movie.
But yeah, but I
it
did.
worked.
But we all did like it quite a bit.
Well, that's good then. I'll tell Ace
Okay.
that Westy liked
Yes,
it. That'll
that's true.
that'll convince him
yeah,
a little more.
Yeah. He also read the novelization of it
Oh, there
because
you
he
go.
loved it so much.
Oh
but
my gosh.
what did you think of the Eternals?
Meh.
Yeah.
I wanted to like it more
Yeah.
than I actually did.
Same.
And I felt like there was almost too much
Uh-huh.
in there.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, what all
Yes.
are we unpacking? And there was just so much going on.
I felt like time stopped while I was watching that movie. I was like, how is there still 2 hours of this left?
It was rough. And
2 hours remaining.
We have the dog and we have the kids, and we usually stop the movie
Yeah.
if anybody needs to get up and do
Yeah.
something. And it was like we got to a point where I was like, oh my gosh, this is the third time we've stopped this, and we're
Uh-huh.
only an hour in.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know.
Yeah.
Eh.
I know. I felt the same
That's
way.
all I can really say.
I felt
about
the same way. Taking it back to Devil Dinosaur, both the Eternals and Devil Dinosaur were 70s output from Jack Kirby. And so I
Ah.
have read the original Eternals from the 70s. And I don't know, it plays a little better in comic book form.
Yeah.
The
Does it
whole-
follow pretty closely, or was it really just like a redo?
I think if you lay out what the plot is, the basic premise of what the Eternals are
Mm-hmm.
and the Celestials like that, the dynamics are the same. I think the way they go about it is a lot differently.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with the comics is that Jack Kirby was known for his like chaotic and vibrant art.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know why you would adapt.
I didn't see that.
No, why you'd adapt something like that and make it such a drab visual.
Very gray.
I don't understand that.
That's kind
So-
of too bad then.
Whatevs. I'm trying to think. We watched The Tender Bar recently. It's a movie that's on Prime. Really good. It was about this kid who kind of, I don't know, he grows up with his mom and his uncle runs this bar, and his uncle is kind of like, I don't know, the guide of his life. He's the Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's just about this kid kind of making his way, and it's a great soundtrack directed by George Clooney. Ben Affleck plays the uncle. Ty Sheridan's the nephew. It was just really good. I don't know. I enjoyed it in a way I feel like I haven't enjoyed a movie in a while, so that was super good.
You know, we don't have great luck with movies on Prime or shows on Prime or anything,
yeah.
for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So anytime we get on there, we're like, how good is this really going to be?
Good
to know that that's a good one.
We only have it temporarily because my wife just loves The Wheel of Time and needed to watch the series. So normally we don't have it, but she was like, I must watch Wheel of Time. So that we did.
There you go.
And I also watched Being the Ricardos, which was only so-so. And we just started watching Only Murders in the Building with Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez from Hotel Transylvania fame. And that's been fun. So that's our watch list as of late. Anything you're anticipating, looking forward to? It's kind of a drought, I feel like, right now.
I think so, too. And we actually went to the theater. This is the first time we've been to the theater in years.
Yeah.
But we saw the new Spider-Man movie.
Yes.
Which was fantastic.
So good.
We can't wait for it to like come out on DVD so that we can just binge like even the bad Tobey Maguire
go back to the Tobeys,
and go through all of them because it was so funny to see them bring all the Spider-Mans into that one. And I was like, we've never seen the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Oh, okay.
So we kind of missed a couple of the jokes there, but we're like, okay, when this comes out, we're just gonna have to watch everything.
Some of the things they resolved from the Amazing Spider-Man, there was some real like, it was surprisingly emotional because the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I don't know. I mean, they're not top tier, but I also think they get a bum rap. I think Andrew Garfield is really good in them, and I think his chemistry with Emma Stone is just undeniable and fun to watch. So,
well, and he was good in this one.
He was
like,
great.
I really liked him.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about him before that.
Right.
I was like, I think he could be a good Spider-Man.
Yeah, he could,
I don't know if anybody's better than Tom Holland, honestly, but he's pretty good.
Yeah, they all kind of, seeing them all together, it kind of crystallized that they each bring a different part of Spider-Man out.
Yeah.
Like they kind of, what they focus on is different, but they all feel very Spider-Man-y to me.
Yeah.
I think Andrew Garfield's, I appreciate the quippiness of that Spider-Man, which Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is not quippy in the slightest.
He was very,
very melodramatic.
Yeah, very melodramatic.
But that's the tone of those movies. That's,
exactly.
That's
it was
the
it was the time too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's move into some book news. So a lot of times we look at the New York Times bestseller list, but I wanted to look this week at Barnes & Noble's Top 100.
Look into the future to see what it proves. It's time for book news.
This is an interesting list because it is everything. I mean, it could be picture books, it could be fiction, it could be nonfiction. It's just what they're selling the most of. And it also includes pre-orders, and there's a lot of pre-orders on this list. So
Now, what kind of time frame are we looking at here? Does it say like within the past 30 days or?
Good question that I don't have the answer to.
Well, it just, is it like all of 2021 bestsellers or things like that? I don't know.
It's updated pretty frequently.
Okay.
I use this quite a lot when I'm like looking ahead.
Sure.
And for like audiobooks and that kind of thing, because it's just sort of helpful. I feel like it takes the temperature in a way that a bestseller list doesn't always.
Definitely.
Because there are books that are super popular here that I don't feel like are the books that you tend to run out and buy. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So like sales are not always.
No.
And as we always discuss with especially the children's bestseller list, it's the same book for 5 years.
For 5 years,
so like,
forever. And even with the young adults sometimes too, I feel like John Green was on there for a really long time.
Sorry, my mind just got blown here. I looked a little bit down farther and saw one called Run, Rose, Run, written by Dolly Parton and James Patterson.
What?
Coming out March 7th, 2022. This is actually number 12 on the list. But,
how dare he?
But we're not. But we're not going to skip this, okay? So I'm gonna have to read everything about this to you. So buckle in.
Yeah.
From America's most beloved superstar and its greatest storyteller.
We could have left James Patterson off of there. Maybe still been okay.
Greatest storyteller. I mean, I guess if you're counting quantity, maybe.
Yes, there
greatest
you go.
in a measure of like weight and
most.
heft of the books. Sure. A thriller. Dolly Parton's writing a thriller?
I could see it.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to put anything past her, but okay. A thriller about a young singer-songwriter, sure, on the rise and on the run, and determined to do whatever it takes to survive. Every song tells a story. She's a star on the rise, singing about the hard life behind her. She's also on the run. Find a future, lose a past. Nashville is where she's come to claim her destiny. It's also where the darkness she's fled might find her and destroy her.
Oh my gosh.
Run, Rose, Run is a novel glittering with danger and desire, a story that only America's #1 beloved entertainer and its #1 best-selling author could have created. So, okay.
I really wish
Okay.
that we just didn't have the whole James Patterson part to
Well,
it.
it's there.
It
It's
is
part
so
of
there.
it. You can't be denied. Also, they have an opaque blue vinyl called Run, Rose, Run by Dolly Parton. So I guess why not? Why
Well,
not have an album that goes with it?
I
So,
feel like that just makes sense.
yeah. So you can find either of those in March. That was number
Wow.
12 on the list, but
Wow.
just out of necessity, we had to discuss
I think
it.
Dolly had to go first, though.
She did. She did.
She demanded.
All right, so here's the true top 10.
Okay.
This book is coming out September 6, 2022, but it is getting a lot of buzz already, and that's Stephen King's Fairy Tale. Legendary storyteller Stephen King goes deep into the well of his imagination in this spellbinding novel about a 17-year-old boy who inherits the keys to a parallel world where good and evil are at war, and the stakes could not be higher for their world or ours. This was Stephen King's pandemic book. A lot of weird books coming out. John Grisham has a collection of novellas coming out that was just like his pandemic writing. So
Interesting. Honest here for a second?
Yeah.
I've never read a Stephen King.
not a single one.
Not a single one.
Okay.
That one actually sounded a little interesting to me, though.
Yes. Well, so he's got his Dark Tower series, which is like his fantasy series, which
Right.
some people love. Some people swear by. Nikki, right here at the library, loves the Dark
Right.
Tower. They don't do much for me, but I'm a Stephen King fan. I don't know if this one would jump right to the top of my list, but apparently, this is a quote from Stephen King. What could you write that would make you happy? This is a question he asked himself early in the pandemic. As if my imagination had been waiting for the question to be asked, I saw a vast deserted city, deserted but alive. I saw the empty streets, the haunted buildings, a gargoyle head lying overturned in the street. I saw smashed statues of what I didn't know, but I eventually found out. I saw a huge, sprawling palace with glass towers so high their tips pierced the clouds. I saw a magic sundial that could turn back time. Those images released the story I wanted to tell. And that's Fairy Tale. So this might be your first Stephen King?
Maybe.
Okay. I'll check back in
Maybe.
September.
I'll have to write it down so I remember.
Number 9 on the list, Hook, Line, and Sinker. Boy, so many opportunities for a pun there in this,
Right?
but nothing. Just Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This is the follow-up to It Happened One Summer. Tessa Bailey delivers another deliciously fun rom-com about a former player who accidentally falls for his best friend while trying to help her land a different man. Really mining some new territory here with this.
I'm like, that's number 9?
Number 9, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what's interesting about this list.
All right.
Here's what I don't know about. Maybe you will. This is part of the Inheritance Games series. Oh, yes?
Oh, yes.
You do. You do know
Jennifer
this.
Lynn Barnes, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The Final Gambit.
When is that one due out?
August 30th, 2022.
Oh. Sorry. That's me waiting until
Okay.
September for this book.
Avery's fortune, life, and loves are on the line in the game that everyone will be talking about. So is this YA? What is
Yes.
this? Okay, so tell me about it.
So I read the first one is the Inheritance Games.
Okay.
And I think I actually mentioned it last time because I had just finished the
The
second one.
Hawthorne Legacy.
The Hawthorne
yes,
Legacy
I remember
is
you
the
talking
second one.
about that. Okay, yeah.
Yep. So this will be the third one in that series.
Okay.
And it's a constant puzzle.
Okay.
And this girl, Avery, inherited billions
Oh.
out of nowhere.
I do remember you talking about
And so they had to
this.
figure out why she's getting
Yes,
it. And the family
okay,
wanted to try to kill
okay.
her, but they couldn't do that because then
Yeah.
they wouldn't inherit, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And it's just this whole labyrinth. And it's fun. It's
Huh.
fast paced and really fun to read.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually got Scott to read the first one, and he read it in a matter of a couple of days.
Wow.
And I took him home the second one. I was like, I think this one's even better.
Yeah.
And he's kind of stalled because
Yeah.
he's not always a huge reader. So I'm like, but you got to read it. You
Yeah.
got to finish it.
Well, apparently the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition comes with a never-before-seen short story featuring the Hawthorne brothers, a puppy, leather pants, and karaoke. So you know, if
You
those.
know, it was like, okay, a puppy in leather pants. I'm like, what is happening here?
So which was the one that you were like, okay, now I have to read it? Was it the karaoke, the
I think
puppy,
so.
or the leather
I think it was
pants?
just the combination.
The combination.
Like, are they all in a room together?
Fair
Or
enough.
is this happening? I don't know.
Fair enough.
But I'm interested, and I may end up having to buy the Barnes & Noble exclusive now.
Okay. Next on the list is Book of Night by Holly Black. So I've only read the Spiderwick Chronicles by Holly Black.
I've read a handful of Holly Black.
This is her first adult novel, apparently.
Okay.
This is her adult debut, Book of Night, a modern dark fantasy of shadowy thieves and secret societies in the vein of Ninth House and The Night Circus. Oh, I read The Night Circus.
I didn't read The Night Circus.
I bet you'd like that.
Probably.
Aaron Mortensen, I want to say, is the author there.
Sounds right.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I've read a handful of Holly Black. She writes The Cruel Prince.
Okay.
The Queen of Nothing. Those books, I really like those. Those are like
So-
a fantasy with the fae and fairies kind
Is
of.
this a thing where, like, she puts out a new book, you're likely to read it? Or...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, usually.
Okay.
And if I run out of things to read, I'm like, maybe I'll see if she has anything else that I haven't read.
Okay. We mentioned this earlier, but next on the list here is Lore Olympus Volume 2, which is coming out, what does it say here? July 5th. So not that
There we
long.
go. I'm going
Not
to have
that
to
long.
put these like in my Goodreads to read for the month.
Yeah.
So July, I've got that one.
Yep.
August, I've got the next
a lot
Jennifer
of
Lynn
good
Barnes.
stuff coming out.
Jeez.
Let's see if you know about this one. The War of Two Queens by Jennifer Armentrout. Anything?
No.
Okay. From the New York Times best-selling author comes book 4 in her Blood and Ash series. Is not your thing. You don't know about this. Huh.
Not
I
one
don't-
I've picked up.
I don't want to say that's a failure on your part, but it's at least a failing.
Well, noted.
Can we
Okay.
agree? All right. Love on the Brain by Allie Hazelwood is next. From New York Times bestselling author of The Love Hypothesis comes a new STEMinist rom-com.
STEMinist?
STEMinist.
What is
Yeah.
that? Like STEM with
Yeah.
feminist?
Yes.
How did I not know that was a thing?
I didn't know it either until I
Okay.
read this and looked it up.
I like that.
A STEMinist rom-com in which a scientist is forced to work on a project with her nemesis with explosive results. So they're probably going to fall in love.
Yeah,
Do you think?
probably.
Okay, the next one here, there's not even a synopsis for it. It's not until September. Kingdom of the Feared. It's book 3 in the Kingdom of the Wicked series by Carrie Maniscalco. Do you know this?
Nope, that one doesn't ring a bell either.
Okay. Kingdom of the Wicked, Kingdom of the Cursed were the first two, and now Kingdom of the Feared. So
It sounds like one of those cheesy young adult kind of things that
It
I'm like,
does.
oh, another kingdom of something.
yes,
book.
it says
Thorn
it's
of.
published by Little Brown Books for Young Readers. So it says 14 to 18 is the age range. So yes, I would imagine this is
Yeah.
YA.
Yeah, that's probably something I'd pick up.
All right, 2 more. Oh, I know you'll know this one. House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas.
Yes, when is that one supposed
Crescent City series number 2, February.
to come out? Okay.
Yeah,
There's
February,
something to
February
look for. I've got to
15th.
finish all the books on my list. Oh, man.
Sequel to the number 1 New York Times bestseller, Sarah J. Maas's Sexy Groundbreak. Sexy?
It was spicy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Are they normally? I guess I didn't realize that.
So this was that one, the first one. I don't remember what it was called.
Crescent City?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the first of the series.
Okay.
And I think she's on a more adult
Okay.
path here.
Okay. So the steam factors turned
So
up
that one, yes.
a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
Quite a bit.
Sarah J. Maas's sexy, groundbreaking Crescent City series continues with the second installment. Bryce Quinlan and Hunt Althalar. That's a rough name to say.
Well, he's like a angel kind of thing.
Of
So,
course he is.
Right? Makes
Are
sense
trying to
now.
get back to normal. They may have saved Crescent City. Oh, spoiler alert for
Well,
Crescent City.
oops.
Wowzer. But so much upheaval in their lives lately, they mostly want a chance to relax, slow down, figure out what the future holds. In this sexy, action-packed sequel, Sarah J. Maas weaves a captivating story of a world about to explode and the people who will do anything to save it.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay. I've only read her Catwoman book. That's the extent of my Sarah J. Maas.
I really liked her, I don't know, the court books.
Oh, okay. I know what you mean.
She's got
I can't
two
get
series.
It. I can't get it.
I can never get the actual correct names because
Okay.
they're one of those YA books where
yes.
it's like the court of this, the night of that. And I'm like, I don't know which one it was, but I liked
Okay.
it. So I really liked one of her series. I kind of liked her other YA series. And this one is good and I'll pick it up and read it.
Uh-huh.
But it's leaning toward that more like the adult
I
side
see.
where there are the sexy
Look
themes
out.
and these things are going.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, I don't really care to read that. That's why I don't read adult books.
Okay.
Like I like the young adults,
Yeah. Okay.
but I'll pick it up.
All right. Last on our list here, Book Lovers by Emily Henry. An insightful, delightful new novel from the #1 New York Times bestselling author of Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation. Oh, I didn't read it, but People We Meet on Vacation was one of those ones that just kept showing up on the bestseller list. It seemed to be, yeah, it was kind of a sleeper hit, I feel like. One summer, two rivals, a plot twist they didn't see coming, but now they will, because we know there's a plot twist. All right.
Spoiler again.
Nora Stevens' life is books. She's read them all, and she's not that type of heroine, not the plucky one, not the laid-back dream girl, and especially not the sweetheart. In fact, the only people Nora is a heroine for are her clients, for whom she lands enormous deals as a cutthroat literary agent, and her beloved little sister, Abby. All right. Book lovers. I like the cover. Just two people sitting on suitcases passing books to each other.
Okay.
Looks cute. All right, so that's it for the Barnes & Noble Top 100 list. I mean, there's 90 more.
Yeah.
99, 89.
89 because of Dolly.
Because of Dolly, yep.
Because of Dolly.
Yep, so you can find that and more on barnesandnoble.com. Let's turn it over to some youth media awards.
Whoop, whoop.
So, Kate, let me ask you this professionally. Is this an award that you look forward to in a way that you're like, okay, we got to make sure we get all of these books? Do you use it as sort of a looking back on the past year to sort of rate, if your finger's on the pulse collection-wise? Is it something as a reader that you're looking forward to? Feel free to answer any and all of those questions.
Well, my answer truly is a little bit of all of them anyway.
Okay.
Especially for the Newbery and like the Prince, where they're more just books that I would possibly just pick up to read. I'm like, ooh, that's exciting to see that this was nominated as one of the best of the best.
Yeah.
All of the books that were listed. When it comes to the more diverse awards, like, did I do well enough for our patrons and our community that I have these books on my shelf? Most years, I'm like, all right, we did okay.
Yeah.
Because I really try to make sure that I'm getting the books that are being talked about and that are, showing a lot of representation and those things. So for the chapter books, the middle grade and, young adult, they're a little more personal, but for the picture books and easy readers and stuff, I'm like, yes, we got it. Nice. We had these for our patrons, for our community to experience. So
I know we've certainly talked about this off mic, but it does feel like diverse books is a lot. It's a lot easier to get to in picture books, junior and YA than adult.
I think so too.
And so I hope that's like trickling up.
I do too.
I don't think that's how trickles work, but maybe,
we'll just tip it on its head,
raising like a steam, maybe.
There you go. That was a nice
because
analogy.
It does feel like more and more, that's becoming easier. Whereas I feel like with adults, even choosing book clubs, it can be a little challenging to make sure we're covering, what is representative of the community.
And that was one thing Allie and I were talking about with, I think, Hanukkah books.
Yes.
Because, I can find a handful of really good Hanukkah books for picture books. Yep. And she found a couple that were like middle grade. She goes, but I can't find a single young adult Hanukkah novel.
Yeah, it's weird.
And I mean, I guess you don't write as much about the holidays for young adult, kind of. But still, it feels like there should be something out there. Yeah. Something.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, even in the youth section, you can see that there is a gradual loss of it as things age up. So.
Yeah, true. How do you want to tackle this list?
Oh, boy.
How do you want to go in?
Up for anything.
All right, let's save the Newbery and the Caldecott.
That makes sense.
All right, so you pick one and tell me about it.
How about Caldecott King?
Let's do it.
We did pretty well with that one.
Okay.
The Caldecott King recognizes an African-American author and illustrator of outstanding books for children and young adults. This one is the Book Award.
Yes.
The winner this year was Unspeakable, the Tulsa Race Massacre, written by Carol Boston Weatherford.
Yeah.
And that was the book winner. It was illustrated by Floyd Cooper. So we have this one, and we got it right off the bat because there was so much chatter about it.
Oh, sure.
And it is just got
it got a starred review in like everything. Right?
Like it was bound to win a whole bunch of things.
Oh, yeah.
So I was glad to see that on this list a few times.
Yeah, because it was it was an honor book for Caldecott and a few other things, right?
It was also the Caldecott King Illustrator Book Award.
Oh, okay.
So it got author and illustrator for Carol Boston Weatherford, and then for Floyd Cooper.
Yeah.
So it won both of the younger scheme of the Coretta Scott Kings.
I was impressed with this book. I read it to my son, like I read it aloud to my son, and so obviously we had conversations after that.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's a good conversation starter, and I feel like
is.
it doesn't. I mean, this is such a horrific event. First of all, I mean, it's just Unspeakable is a good name for it because
really
it just
is.
it feels otherworldly to talk about the Tulsa Massacre. It just
Absolutely.
It's like we're talking about some dystopian sci-fi and not just like a thing that happened 100 years ago.
Yeah.
100 years ago.
Yeah.
Not even hundreds
Not
of
even
years
that
ago.
long ago.
And so it's just, I don't know. It's weird for me as an adult to really have not even known that this was a thing until
Exactly.
2 years ago, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, wow. And so what I liked about this book was that it doesn't back away from the really terrible things that's in there, but it's presented in a way that I think kids could understand, and it kind of opens the door to have a deeper conversation about
I
it.
agree. And it's a horrible topic.
That's a really fine line to walk, and so that's impressive to me that they could do that.
And I feel like a lot of picture books do a good job
Yeah,
of,
it's true.
I don't want to say glazing over, but giving the necessary information
Yeah,
while not making it harsh and painful
Right.
for children.
right.
It does open doors to have, be like, okay, yes, this is what happened, and we can explore these topics more if you need to. But like, it's so important that these kids know that this happened, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And just springing off what you're saying there about how they often will tend to just kind of glaze over certain things. I feel like usually in this kind of thing, you don't have a specific, and here's who did it.
Oh, that's true.
Here's who to blame. And I feel like Unspeakable was really, it did.
Yeah.
It kind of said like, this is how this happened.
And these
These
are
are
who,
groups
this is
responsibles,
why.
and so, that I thought was a little unusual, also necessary.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think it's a very deserving book, and I think
I do too.
will be one that will be part of the conversation going forward.
Absolutely.
It'd
be hard not to be.
It's true. I think if you look at the past in these awards, there's a lot of books, not just the Coretta Scott King Award. I just mean these books in particular. You look back at like a list of winners of Newbery or Caldecott, whatever, and be like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
It's like it hits in that year and then you never think about it again. Or you look back and you think like, really?
That was the one.
But this one I feel like is an important inclusion just in the literature of this topic going forward. So,
and the illustrations really were sharp and defined and just gorgeous.
Yeah,
but
you
the pages,
you get the emotion out of it.
You do,
which you don't always.
Absolutely.
There was one here that was let me see what it was. It was an honor book, a King illustrator honor book, Soul Food Sunday, illustrated by C.G. Esperanza, written by Winsome Bingham. This was one that my son loved.
Really?
It's just fun to read out loud. It's bright.
That was one I missed.
Well, I've got it right here because we just finished reading it. But it's just about a big family like getting together and making food. So it's like all the food prep.
It is so vibrant.
It is. Yeah. It's like, it's painted. It's just, he loved the story. He loved the pictures. It's got a great mac and cheese recipe in the back of it. So,
well, what better is there than a good mac and cheese recipe in a book?
I know.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, that one is gorgeous.
So I liked that quite a bit.
Oh, I like that too.
Yep.
That one, it's on my list now. It has gotten ordered.
All right. Let's take a look at some of the. I was looking at Locus. Locus is a sci-fi magazine, and so they kind of pulled out the ones that were specifically that kind of fell into the sci-fi area. So let's talk a little bit about Last Night at the Telegraph Club.
Yes, that one got a few awards
It
too.
did.
Awards and honors.
So it's by Melinda Lowe. It won the Stonewall Book Award. It won, let's see, a few other things.
The
here.
Prince honor.
Yep. It won the Asian Pacific American Award for Literature. And the Prince honor, like you said. Have you read this one?
I haven't.
Okay.
I've seen it floating around on our shelves.
It's got a great cover.
Yeah, it does.
It looks
There's
cool.
a lot to draw you in on that cover.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And it was sweeping several awards. So
yes.
The Stonewall Book Award is given annually to English language children's and young adult books of exceptional merit relating to gay, lesbian, bisexual, and the transgender experience. So what else won that? There was a couple winners in the Stonewall Award.
Let's see. Too Bright to See, written by Kyle Lukoff.
Oh yeah. That's a junior book.
Yep. Last Night at the Telegraph Club. And I think those were the only winners.
Okay.
There were 3 honor books, Almost Flying by Jake Maya Arlo. The Darkness Outside Us, written by Elliot Schreffer.
Okay.
And Granddad's Camper. Oh, I really like that one. Written and illustrated by Harry Woodgate.
I haven't read it, but I love the title.
It was so cute. It's a picture book, so that one was a little bit easier for me to be like, oh, hey, I know that one.
Nice.
Yes, but those were the honors.
Okay. Can we talk about the Seuss Geisel Award for a minute?
Every year, this year I'm pretty happy because I do have the winner.
Yeah.
I got the winner before it was published, which is always my goal. Or
Yeah.
before it was published. Before the awards were announced.
Yeah.
Which is always my goal. But I'm also like, where do they find these?
This one was a real head scratcher to me because in the past I've tended to like these. And my son is sort of aging out of this range of readers, but typically whatever the Geisel one was, he would love. But the winner this time was Fox at Night, written and illustrated by Corey R. Tabor. And I feel like he's won before for this series. Am I right about that?
I think so.
Didn't Fox the Tiger also?
Fox the Tiger, yeah.
That one was okay.
It was okay.
I liked that one. This one, I just didn't really get it all.
Well, and this says, the Theodore Seuss Geisel is awarded for the most distinguished beginning reader. But I feel like there was more of a caveat to that when they announced it. They said something about like with a lot of imagination or this, that, and the other thing. And I didn't feel like Fox at Night really hit that mark.
No.
It's a fine beginning reader.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of repeated phrases.
Yes.
Thinking there's a monster and then, it's a bat, it's a raccoon.
The same terms, and there was a repetition there so the kids knew what to expect. And then there was a little twist at the end, and it was cute. But I don't think it was the most distinguished. Reader.
I guess I had no feelings about it. I was just kind of like whatever. Like
Ace read it and he was like, "Oh, that was good."
Yeah. Right.
And then we were on to the next thing. But like some of these other titles, Nothing Fits a Dinosaur sounds hilarious, and I can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
I have not gotten my hands on it yet, but I want to.
For a couple of years in a row, it seemed like they were going with ones that had more of like a comic booky kind of style, or it was just things that were unique, were interesting. I mean, Dr. Seuss books are just they have such a specific style. They're so creative with their words, just the way they get your imagination going.
Yes.
And maybe that's not the goal of the Seuss Award, but I feel like it should be. That should be at least part of it. So just like a fox being scared of the night and running into,
nighttime creatures.
Yeah, it's just kind of basic. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
It's
basic
not to
is a
say
good
it's
word.
bad. It's just
no.
It's a perfectly fine addition to a shelf.
But
I
when
suppose.
I'm looking for an award book, I don't know if I'm looking for.
No, I know.
Either, so
yeah.
I don't know.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
Okay, so the American Indian Youth Literature Awards, we had a handful of these.
Okay.
They start, I think they've got 3 categories: the picture book honors, middle grade honors, and then the young adult honors, and then they announce their winner at the end of each of them. So a couple of the honors for the picture books were Classified, The Secret Career of Mary Gold Ross, Cherokee Aerospace Engineer by Tracy Sorrell.
Oh.
And I know the author, but I don't know the subject of the book. Have you ever read that one?
No, I haven't yet. No.
That's always what amazes me about picture book biographies. I'm like, really? How did I not know about this before? And it's all just in this nice, neat little package. Love it. Learning My Rights with Mouse Woman, written and illustrated by Morgan Assiouf. I Sang You Down from the Stars by Tasha Spillett Sumner. That one we do own. And it's beautiful. The illustrations in that one are just gorgeous.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. It's one that I can just like look at the cover and be happy.
That's nice. That's nice.
It doesn't always happen, but I'm like, it's so pretty. And the last honor that I have on my list here is We Are Still Here, Native American Truths Everyone Should Know, also by Tracy Sorrell.
Yeah.
That's another good one, and we do have that one.
Yeah,
here
I've heard
as well.
a lot of good things about that.
Yes, that is a good one. Middle grade honor books: Ella Cara Deloria, Dakota Language Protector by Diane Wilson, Indigenous Peoples Day by Katrina M. Phillips, Jojo McCoon's The Used to Be Best Friend by Dawn Quigley. That sounds like a very typical middle grade. Yeah, very typical middle grade book. Let's see. Peggy Flanagan, Ogama Lieutenant Governor by Jessica Engelking. And it looks like the last honor for the middle grade is The Sea in Winter by Christine Day. I feel like I remember hearing about that one as well. That sounded like a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the young adult honor books, Elatso by Darcy Little Badger. That one I know we have on our shelf and has been circulating like crazy. It doesn't seem like we can keep it on there. And then, of course, Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley.
And that won a couple things
That
as
won
well.
a handful
that won
of things,
the
yes.
Michael L. Prince Award.
Yep. And I feel like there was at least one other award or honor in there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Hunting by Stars by Cherie Dimaline. And Notable Native People, 50 Indigenous Leaders, Dreamers, and Changemakers from Past and Present by Adrienne Keene. Oh, and one more. Sorry, I didn't highlight that one. Soldiers Unknown by Chag Lowry.
Okay.
So those were all of the American Indian Youth Literature Awards.
Firekeeper's Daughter also won the Michael C. Morris Award for debut book. That was the third.
That was it.
That was
Yep.
the third.
Yes.
Should we look at the Pura Belpré Awards?
Sure.
The Pura Belpré Awards are honoring Latinx writers and illustrators whose children's and young adult books best portray, affirm, and celebrate the Latino cultural experience.
The winner of the Pura Belpré Youth Illustration Award was Vamos, Let's Cross the Bridge, illustrated by Raul Gonzalez.
I've seen that cover a lot, but I haven't read it.
And a lot of, because there's like a Vamos, Let's Go Eat or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
And another
it's a
one, but they're all
series.
Vamos something. And the colors are all very similar. And the imagery is so close on the covers that it really is a series, which you don't always get that
It's true.
continuity.
It's true.
When it's picture books. But with those, it's definitely clear that these are a whole package deal. So that one won the illustration award. And then there were 4 youth illustration honor books. Boogie Boogie Y'all. That one won a couple of prizes.
I love that
or
title.
a couple of honors at least. I did too, and I had not heard anything about it. But it sounds like so much fun. Bright Star, illustrated by and written by Yuyi Morales, which I believe she won something a couple of years ago now.
It sounds familiar, yeah.
I can't remember what it was now. But yes, I'm almost certain she did. And then there was another honor, De Aquí Como El Cookie, illustrated and written by Nomar Perez. And May Your Life Be Deliciosa, illustrated by Loris Laura and written by Michael Genhart.
Okay.
So those were our illustration honor books. I failed on this one. I don't think I had any of those.
Oh,
I said,
no.
I had the other Vamos books, but not Cross the Bridge.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is like off the beaten path, but did you read Milo Imagines the World by Matt De La Pena?
I did.
I feel like it's just Last Stop on Market Street again. Am I wrong?
It didn't. No, you're not. The cover is cute. It's intriguing.
Did that get anything?
I feel like it got an honor, maybe.
I don't think it did. I saw it like in
it was in a lot of the prediction
It was,
lists.
but I think it didn't get anything. I think
that's possible.
Probably because
It was
of its
kind of just a
it's
replay.
similar story
Yeah.
and like the
Yeah, that's
takeaway is very
possible.
similar and also not as good as Last Stop on Market Street. So
No. I mean, it was a fine book, but again,
yeah.
this isn't really
Yeah.
the time for fine.
I don't know why I felt the need to
books.
bring that up just to rag on Matt De La Pena, but it's just that I loved Last Stop on Market Street so
Right.
much. And so I was kind of looking forward to reading that one to my son, and I was kind of like, I don't know.
No.
You know?
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay.
It
Again,
doesn't really
huh?
stand out, but,
Yeah.
you know, that's okay.
Not so much.
Yeah. Let's look at the Caldecott medal.
Okay. So do you want me to go over the 4 honor books first?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah.
Okay, so there was one here that I didn't have. Sad for me. Just for
my
me,
gosh.
though.
Oh, my
I
gosh.
know. I'm a disappointment. But it is Have You Ever Seen a Flower, illustrated and written by Sean Harris. Did you read that one?
Boy, that sounds familiar. Let me just check.
That was not one I was familiar with. I didn't see it on any prediction list. I did not see it. I mean, maybe it was in like the Kirkus and I missed it, but
No, I didn't. I missed that one as well.
that flew completely under the radar.
Dark
for
Horse.
me.
coming
Yeah.
out, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And I mean, only an honor,
Yeah,
so
right.
whatever. But
Yeah. Forget
whatever. Let's see. The next honor was Mel Fell, illustrated and written by Corey R. Tabor, same author for the Seuss Geisel book.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Did you read Mel Fell?
No, I didn't.
It's the white cover with the little bluebird going shoo, right down.
Oh,
it was cute.
It sounds fun.
Yeah, it was cute, and like you get to orient the pages differently partway
yeah.
through.
Yeah,
and
that's
things
always
like
a crowd
that.
pleaser.
Those are fun, yeah. Unspeakable, the Tulsa Race Massacre, illustrated by Floyd Cooper, written by Carol Boston Weatherford. There's another nod to that book. And the last honor book was Wonder Walkers, illustrated and written by Micah Archer. That one was cute too. That's one we have in the collection, and I
Okay.
enjoyed that.
Okay.
Kind of just about being out in nature and enjoying the wonders that are naturally presented to you. So that's kind of a cute one.
It sounds fun. This is the sad thing about my son sort of aging past the picture book, because we used to just like have these in my head because we just read them all the time, but now we're just doing chapter books and things.
Honestly, it's getting close to the same with
Yeah.
with Ace and I, because I'm like, all right, you want to sit down and read? He's like, like he doesn't want to read the picture books anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It really has to be something that's going to hook him. So I end up just sitting here sadly reading them by myself, but I do it. Darn it. It's
funny.
fine. Okay. And should we announce the actual
Let's do
winner
it.
then? Okay.
I think we should.
The winner for the Ralph Caldecott medal for this year, which it's 100 years this year, right?
Oh yeah. I guess so.
I think so.
Yeah, I think you're right.
100 years. All right. So the winner this year is Watercress, illustrated by Jason Chin.
Yes.
And written by Andrea Wang.
Yes. Watercress there was something else this got as well. Yeah.
Yes, was that in the Asian?
It was the Picture Book Award winner for the Asian Pacific American Award. Yep.
So 2 awards this year then.
Yeah, it did.
It was that silence there probably said everything
yes.
it needed to. I understand it winning.
Okay.
I think it had a really important message.
Yeah.
And the representation was powerful.
Yeah.
It wasn't my style of art necessarily. It was kind of like a watercolory.
Yeah.
Which just made it look, I don't know, personally, not my favorite art of the year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, it's very good. I think when you compare it to some previous winners, like last year's We Are Water Bearers and things that, not that every time it has to be something, doing something different or a different approach. This is a very simple watercolor sort of realistic approach, and it is beautiful. I don't think, like, even looking at the honors, I don't know that this would have been the one that was the obvious front runner for me.
No, probably not.
And sometimes I feel like stories like this, because it's a simple story about a family collecting watercress on the side of the road, and then that elicits some memories from the mom about the Chinese American experience, and it's a lovely story. I feel like
heartbreaking.
For sure.
Yes.
I feel like it works a little bit better as a coffee table book for adults than a story to read to children.
I agree.
And that's always kind of
and even going back to our discussion about Unspeakable.
Yeah.
That book opened up the door for conversation, which Watercress could as well, but
it could,
but it doesn't invite conversation so much as it's an experience.
Yeah.
To read that book and to realize other people's experiences, but I don't think it offers a lot for young children to take away from it.
I was curious to know what you thought about that, because that was my impression as well. Like I did read it to my son, and I think some of the more tragic undercurrents there were a little lost on him.
Right.
And it's not a large part of the book. It's just sort of a book to reflect on. So does it work for children? I'm sure it works for lots.
Sure.
But I don't think it's an obvious one.
No, I don't think so either. It may not have been my personal pick, but I can understand and appreciate the merit behind it for sure.
Yep. And finally, the Newbery.
The first honor book was Red, White, and Whole, written by Rajani LaRocca. I don't know anything about that one. Do you?
No.
Okay. We'll move on then. I guess nothing to talk about there. A Snake Falls to Earth, written by Darcy Little Badger. Too Bright to See, written by Kyle Lukoff. That one was on one of the lists as well.
Stonewall?
Was that the Stonewall?
I think it was Stonewall, yeah.
And then another honor was Watercress, written by Andrea Wang.
Which honestly maybe makes a little bit more sense to me.
Makes a little more sense.
And
honestly, I feel like maybe if they had put a little bit more context into the story, it would make a lot of sense for a Newbery.
Yes.
Just put a little bit more and describe these things.
Yeah. I mean,
instead of kind of like having it,
It's kind of a tightrope, but I think, again, and I'm not trying to bash Watercress. It's just, I think that you have to go in with some context and understanding for the book to really land. And if you don't have that, it's just more confusing, which I guess, maybe then that would be the place where you start learning about it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, it was kind of a tightrope.
Yeah.
Which way is it going to go? And it deserves honor. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That was the last honor book.
Yeah. So
Which
what's our
just
winner,
leaves
Kate?
us to the John Newbery Medal winner for the most outstanding contribution to children's literature was The Last Quintista, written by Donna Barba Higuera.
And it's also won the Pura Belpré Children's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is the 2022 Newbery Medal winner.
Yeah.
And you said you've read this, right?
I have read it. Yes, I have read it. It's sci-fi, and it's they're moving to a new planet. There's like kind of a colony ship that's going to a new planet called Sagan. They have to leave some family members behind. The little girl who's the primary character in it, her name is Petra. She's really sad about leaving her grandma, who is like the family storyteller.
Right.
Or the Quintista, which I had not heard that term before this.
Wasn't sure either.
I had to look it up. When I saw it, I was like, is it about counting? Because that shows my elementary school Spanish like coming through there. But so it's about Petra sort of taking the mantle of the storyteller from her grandma as she leaves her behind on a dying Earth. And then they're on this ship, and the journey's going to take like hundreds of years. So they're sort of in like a suspended animation kind of thing.
Okay.
And this is a bit of a spoiler, but it's what they tell you on the dust jacket. So
well, then not too much.
She wakes up to realize that everybody's memory has been wiped. And in an attempt to have like a true fresh
restart.
But she retains her memories and the stories. And so she's sort of the gist of the book is that she uses her ability as a storyteller to kind of keep the world alive and to connect and reach with other people. So that element is unique, and I think that's very cultural, using the idea of stories as oral history and as a way of kind of, keeping connections to the past and grounding you going forward. So that was an interesting element of it. My criticism, I guess, would be that the whole colony ship and waking up and something's gone wrong has just been done 1 million times.
Yeah. And I'm not even a big sci-fi fan, and I know that.
Yeah. And so I guess like the broad strokes of the story, anybody could guess.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, it kind of hurts maybe the deeper point about this connection to your roots and your heritage, and that being the thing that guides you going forward. To me, was a little bit lost in the reader experience, because I was a little like, yep, okay, so now the next thing that's going to happen is, and then it happens. So
do you think it would have benefited from just being simplified in time and place?
I mean, yeah, it's hard to know. It's hard to know, like, just my personal opinion, like as a reader, what it would have taken. I feel like it may be a one or the other kind of thing. Like maybe either go deeper sci-fi or just don't really have that be an element. I don't know. I don't know. But the familiarity of the beats of the story took it down at least a star for me.
That's too bad.
But again, I think the underlying point that it was trying to get across is a valuable one, and I totally understand like why that elevates it, I think, for some people.
Well, and I mean, I've only read the blurb about it, but I like the idea of she has to carry on these stories. I'm like, ooh, cool. And then it's like in space, and I'm like, wait, what?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it kind of gives it a twist that I don't know that I would always meld together.
Yeah. It's definitely a junior level book, I mean,
is
it's
it a
like
J?
an 8 to 12. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would put it.
Which is usually what the Newbery ends up being. But
yeah. And so, I think because of that, I was reading it with a different lens, and I think I was forgiving of things that I might not have been otherwise. But there's also a little element of like, she seems fine with this. You know what I mean? Like, she's really thinking on her toes quickly and adapting to like.
And she's supposed to be between 8 and 12, probably. Yeah.
She's 12. And so there's a little bit of that where I was like, wow.
That always gets me.
Yeah.
They really overestimate what a 12-year-old can do, I feel like, sometimes.
So I would say that it's a pleasant read. It's a quick read. I think it's worth reading. I think particularly if you're a sci-fi fan, you're not going to find new sci-fi elements here.
Right.
If you're not a sci-fi fan, I think it's a light enough of a sci-fi that won't be off-putting to you.
There you go.
So,
maybe that'll be a nice, nice part. Maybe it'll feed into some sci-fi.
I think there's some broad appeal to it. I think maybe coming from like kind of somebody who has sci-fi interests, maybe that also kind of hurt it in my estimation.
That could be. But again, I mean, you pick how many books are published every year, and somebody's got to pick the best one. I'm glad it's not my job.
Yeah.
Because that'd be crazy.
Same.
So I guess they probably know what they're doing.
So I've only been to these awards in person once, and
That's
it
right.
was just it was really interesting to see because there's a lot of like the decision makers obviously were there and people who were really invested in it. And it was like each award was somebody's Super Bowl.
I remember you guys telling me
it
about
really
this.
was, like all the people around us were like, here it comes. And then they'd announce it. And there was like genuine screams. And like if somebody had like a bah, 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 kind of like, I wouldn't have been surprised because that was the atmosphere of the room.
That's amazing.
So it was fun and it was exciting. And
and truly then these people invest so much.
Yeah.
Probably they have read as many of the newly published books that they can get their hands on, and they really have favorites that they're pulling for. It's not too far off from a sport when you're you really want to get down to the nerddom of it here.
But I think it also kind of gives you some insight into why sometimes the picks feel a little bit like they're more geared towards the pickers than the children.
Yes. That is entirely
Not
true.
saying that happened, but I think in times with certain books, you're kind of like, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Mm-hmm. We know why this was chosen. At least.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of cool stuff in here. Of the ones that I read that made any of the lists, I think I'd have to give it to Unspeakable. But I really liked Soul Food Sunday.
I'm gonna have to read through that one, and I can't wait to read Boogie Boogie Y'all.
Okay,
that one, and that one I think was in the Odyssey Awards as well because they made like an audiobook of it. Yeah,
that's true.
So that's interesting to me. I can't wait to experience it both ways. So that'll be fun.
I'm so the one that I didn't know about before but I want to read now is Too Bright to See. Yeah, I have that right here. That's like my next read list. So I saw the
cover of that and I thought that I had ordered it already. It doesn't look like I have.
Oh.
I was like, what did I do? But that's just me. I was like, I got that one. And then I was like, no, I didn't.
Okay.
Dang it.
Well, any awards like this, I just like to kind of see, and as you were saying in the lead up there, it is good to kind of, it's a good way to see like books that are maybe outside of your subject area that you might not normally read, or making sure that you're getting a cross section of diverse authors and subjects and main characters and stuff. I think it's a super helpful thing to think. So you can find this any place, the full list.
Google it.
I was looking directly on the ALA site, which we'll put on the Twitter. You can find it all the book show. So we'll put the list of the full rundown of awards, nominations, honor selections, and all that. And we do have quite a lot here.
We do.
We do have quite a lot here. And I'm sure more will be coming once we see some of the winners are. So, but they are also pretty readily available throughout the system too. So put holds on them. We'll get them for you. Lots good here. Lots worth to read. So
absolutely.
Anyway, in the next episode, Malik is going to be back. We're doing a special spotlight for Black History Month on the new Run series based on
so excited for
kind of a spin-off continuation of the John Lewis March series. And a lot of the work on this book was completed before John Lewis' passing.
Yes.
So I'm not sure how many they're going with this, but at least book one is out now.
That's exciting.
So we're gonna be looking at that and digging into that a little bit more. I was kind of surprised that they were continuing on the series because I don't remember why we were talking about this, but you and I were talking specifically about March Volume 3 and how it's very packed. Relevant, definitely.
Yeah.
But specifically, just it was so packed. It felt like I thought they were trying to end the series.
It did seem like it.
Because there was so much story to tell, and it was really... So I wonder if maybe after that they were kind of like, there is more here.
We could keep going. Yeah.
So I'm kind of maybe more interested in reading Run just because I feel like that period is less documented than what's covered in March.
Right.
So.
And I mean, it did offer a fresh perspective.
For sure. For sure.
With John Lewis is telling in March.
Absolutely.
So that I mean, is eye-opening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if this hasn't been documented as much, then it should be a whole new world there.
Plenty of copies in the system, so you can read along with me and Malik, and we'll be covering that in the next episode. You can also join me and Kate for a book club on Deadly Inside Scoop, which is, I want to say, February 15th.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to be covering that there. And then
Tuesday at 10:30.
Every third Tuesday, you can join us for a cozy read. Kate, what's coming out kids-wise that we might want to talk about?
Well, I've got the Take Your Child to the Library Day.
That's right.
Coming up on February 5th. Yes. Big deal. That is a national day that libraries try to participate in. Yep. We're going to have Chris Johnson do a magic show in the Nancy Howe Auditorium.
Yes.
The I Love Reading magic show. So that'll be fun. And then after that, we are going to have the SPCA bring some cute little critters.
I'm always a fan of this.
I know. Yeah. If I can get animals here, I'm going to. And kids are going to get a chance to read with them. We are going to have a life-size Paddington here to take pictures of. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
I love Paddington.
Yeah.
I never know if he's still relevant or not, but I love Paddington.
I mean, people are still talking about Paddington too. So
right?
I really, I think the movie's kind of brought him back in a big bad way. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. We're going to have Paddington here.
Yeah.
And speaking of trying to get as many cute, cuddly critters here, we may or may not have gotten a pet here at the library.
We might have gotten a pet.
And I would like to finally show it off on February 5th.
Yeah.
So everybody should come and see what our new pet is.
Yes.
And maybe offer name suggestions. Yeah. Because the little thing doesn't have one yet. Just lots of nicknames from all the staff that have met it. So that's the goal on February 5th. So make sure everybody comes on out.
Of course, masks required.
Yes, masks
goes
required.
Without saying, but
everybody
masks
over too.
And we are spreading out the events throughout the library, so it's not going to be a big packed in one space.
No, we're going to be all across the library. The Read with the Rescue with the SPCA will be in the exhibition room. Yep. Paddington will be in the picture book room, so we can flow back and forth between those. And obviously, Chris Johnson will be in the auditorium, so we'll be all over. Yep. Lots of room, lots of space,
exciting stuff.
Lots to do.
Exciting stuff. All right. Well, Kate, thanks for coming back. Sorry we missed 2021.
I know. Well, I don't blame you. Okay. I blame COVID.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Next time, Malik will be with me covering the series Run. We'll see you then.